Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to be making more long form content now. I think it's a good idea. These first few videos that I make are probably going to be still really bad, so you have to excuse that. But the point of this video is to go over this recent performance of mine. I mean, you may or may not have seen the clip that was on the Instagram earlier, but I wanted to do a breakdown of the entire thing because, one, I haven't looked at the entire video so far. I have a recollection of some things that went right-ish, that I was more happy with, and some things that I think were real major problems in my playing. But I haven't seen all of it, and I really want to share some of that thought process of some of the things that went wrong, especially because these are the things that we don't often see. We don't often see how people are dealing with these mistakes, these improvements, and they're very hard things to share. I think it's this is one of the things that you get out of people when you talk to them a lot about why they don't post on social media or something like this, because many musicians, students especially, that are younger, they understand the reality now, which is that you don't have to post all the time on social media. You don't have to be the biggest social media poster, but your work and your ideas have to be made publicly available. It's only to do a disservice to yourself to not let yourself be out there. If someone meets you and they want to find out more about you, can they go and watch on YouTube 3 videos of your most recent concerts and you talking about how you practice and the goals you want to achieve? Can they find that about you? Because if they can't, you're probably doing something wrong. And I think you should. There is definitely something to be said about being capable of making a name for yourself on your own and not relying on everyone else to do it for you. So, with that little spiel out of the way, let's get to listening to the opening. Here we go. Look at that bow, perfectly in sync. So I remember this. This is something already that I'm going to stop and talk about because I think it's really important. Some of you may or may not know, but I was studying in Australia before I came to Austria, which is where I am now. Maybe, who knows how long I'll be here. Maybe I'll be somewhere else in the next few months. But one of the reasons I came to Austria and left Australia was the differences in the teaching. And I think there are a lot of strengths and weaknesses of both places. But one of the strengths, certainly, of the Australian teaching was they focused on all the sort of extra musical ideas around playing. That is your presence on stage, your emotions, your ability to captivate an audience just by being there, your ability to be comfortable and share these things on the stage, which are very important things. But I think a lot of the time they're often done, unfortunately, without a technique to back it up, and that it doesn't make for such a good outcome. You kind of need both. But this was one of the things that I tried to focus on, because not only do you want to be able to play well, technically organized and whatnot, you want to be able to walk up with some confidence, with some presence when you go on the stage, that you're not shying away, you're not trying to hide from the performance, and you're able to stay calm and centered so you can play the music that you can play. Because the worst thing is you preparing so much effort, so many hours, so much love, I suppose, into this music, all for it to be inaccessible to you when you walk on the stage. So you can see here, I take my time. I mean, I don't take ages, but I really take in a breath and a few more, and then I put the violin up, and only then do we start. So that was nice. Now, it goes really badly after this. I remember this, the opening is horrific, really. Start a bit sharp, but, you know, what can you do? The thing is, this is a very tricky opening with piano, because the piano part, like one note on a piano, it's supposed to be a string section, and it just doesn't really get the same addition. Like if you start with the cello, and then you add the violas, and then you add the violins, you're adding an entire section of the orchestra. Whereas if you add one more finger on the piano, and it's just not quite the same effect, so you have to adjust some things dynamically, I think. It's a little bit out of tune there as well. Changing the note. This is a really sort of frustrating thing that I did in this performance. I think there have been very few times where I've messed that up in practice, in rehearsals. I mean, I've got at least 2 or 3 recordings of me playing that from memory in front of a class teacher with piano and not making the mistakes. But somehow there was this hesitancy. This whole passage wasn't as fluid as I would have liked it to be. Same with this one as well, it's worse. Somehow I recover it. Yeah, so those were really just not, it's not really up to the standard that I want, you know, of cleanliness and of the tone. And especially of the coordination in the higher positions is really difficult. So that is definitely something I'll have to work on there. It's quite upsetting, really, in a way, that didn't need to be like that. And it very well could have been much better. Okay, I mean, I make a crescendo, I stay in time, I suppose. That was okay. That part is actually, for anyone who hasn't played the piece, I mean, maybe if you've played it, you disagree with me, or you do agree. But that part is like suspiciously, it's very unsuspecting music, but it's very hard to play perfectly in time. Those like semi quavers. And so I did work on that. I'm glad that worked in the performance. And I also have to make a comment a bit about the intonation. I think that it was pretty solid there. One of the things I've been thinking about a lot, intonation is definitely a thing that I have a thing about that I really want to be a focus on, because not only is it one of the most important things for any violinist, it's a particularly crucial thing for someone like me who wants to play a lot of chamber music, because you have to be so sensitive to the intonation to play not just in tune, but in tune with everyone else, and slot in perfectly where you need to be. So one of the cues that I sort of have in my mind when I'm practicing is quartet intonation. I just think that the phrase quartet intonation, which means play so in tune that like you try to hear the other parts and how you would be compared to them, so you are extra focused on the intonation. You're not just approximately in tune. You're not just like, yeah, that's the right note, it's close enough. You are dead on to where you know that note should be. And I think that passage showed off, I mean, a bit of it. It was okay. None of it's perfect yet, and a lot of it is still theory, which is a tricky topic to deal with and talk about, because I'm talking about so many things. Because of course, the learning of these ideas what you hear in a masterclass, what you get from your teachers, what you read, the learning of those things and the confidence in them as ideas comes before you being able to demonstrate them in your playing, right? There's always a bit of lag time. You know, if you know how a piece goes perfectly, you know how you want to play it, that doesn't mean you can play it instantly. There's always a bit of time it takes you to learn it. And I think it's the same with a lot of these skills and ideas. But the main thing is to always try to remember them and keep up the practice of those ideas. Just always a little bit and bits and bit by bit to keep it practicing. Okay. I focus on this last note, because I played it dreadfully out of tune one of the other times I played it, but this one time it was okay. It was also okay. That passage I'm pretty okay with. There's nothing immediately that I would say sticks out as like drastically awful. I think that will just improve with general improvements of my playing over time. I don't come in tune again, but I do come in at the right time. So I guess, you know, we have one or the other. This is okay. It's too sharp. It's too sharp. Yeah. It's too sharp. This top A flat. Da, 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 da. It should be. It's da. It should be da. A little God, I can't sing that high. I don't know why I even tried that. It should be lower. That's the kind of thing that I want to pay attention to really closely to the intonation. Yeah, those are also too high, the seventh. But it's okay, this part. This part's really bad. Ready? Here. Yeah, I just don't make it down. I just don't make it down quite right. I think one of the difficult things about that passage is that you go down in seconds. And so you can very, very easily make every second interval just a tiny bit too wide or too small. And then somehow you missed the whole thing. So that was unfortunate. I think this was also just an unfortunate concert sort of thing where it wasn't solid enough to be reliable in concert, because I definitely played it well the days and the week before this. So it's a bit upsetting, really. Should be better than that. And then we come now to the end of the movement. I'm just going to skip this, to be honest. There's not really much. It's just the same theme. And then we end. Now I take a break and centered for the next movement. I'm actually pretty happy with that. I'm actually pretty happy. That is something that I go I mean, apart from the out of tune notes, it's always the B flat. It's especially tricky when you have the same position for your finger across a string. So when you go down a fifth or upper fifth over strings, that can be tricky for intonation, because you have to get one finger out of the way and the other one in to substitute for it. But I think overall this was pretty. I mean, the thing is, the out of tune parts are out of tune and they're no good. But I think what I'm happy with now is that my in tune parts feel more in tune than they were before. So it's almost like you have the in tune scale, you have the in tune things and the out of tune things. Now you want less out of tune things and you want them to be less out of tune. Yeah, like this. Less out of tune things, so less notes out of tune, and the notes that are out of tune to be not so far out of tune. And then you want the in-tune notes, obviously you want more in-tune notes and more in tune. Those notes need to be tighter in tune. And I think something that I've improved on quite a bit is there's those notes that are in tune being tighter in tune. So it's not just this wishy-washy sort of in tune. It's like when it's in tune, it's in tune. Really, really good. When it's not, it's obvious. It's not so good. But I think the sound is improving as well. And it looks, one of the teachers made a comment that this movement looks, not this movement, the whole thing looks more organized. It looks more technically put together, which is really, I mean, it's a positive thing, of course. It sort of can seem backhanded, you know what I mean? It looks really good. Yeah, but does it sound good? Not so much. But I think the point of it looking good is that, again, like with learning things, it's downstream, right? If your playing starts to look good, the idea is that hopefully it'll be easier for you to improve how it sounds as you go further on. But I'm going to listen to the rest of this. See, I think that top note, that top A, da 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 dee, da 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 dee, I think that note actually, it sounds good. It sounds really good, that note. One note. Yeah, that top A. Let's go back to this. Da, 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 da. There's still a few mistakes in the bowing with that elbow direction on the up bow. See? That wasn't so good. It's flat. That note. I'm pretty happy with that. Too sharp. That is a really tricky passage because da 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 dun dun dun. It's 3 B flats, right? The exact same note over the exact same chord, except they're all in different places. And so if one of them is out at all, you will notice which one is out, and you'll really hear it. It sticks out. Can't get away with it. See, that B flat was in tune. The E flat was sharp. That was also sharp. One of the things I'm also learned, intonation. I think I might have to make another video about this, or at least a short form video. But the idea that intonation is so much in your ear. It is like 99% of your ear. There is a percent of course, you need to know where the note is. You need to have consistency and smoothness in your mechanism of how you get to the note, because of course, if your shifts are clunky, if they're jumpy, if they're inconsistent, then obviously your intonation will be inconsistent because you won't, consistently hit the note. That was a terrible explanation, really. But you get the point. but most of it is the fact that it's in your ear. And one of the cues that really helped, I mean, I talked about the quartet intonation. This video is probably going on really long now. I talked about the quartet intonation already, but the second thing is to always never say that's out of tune. Never say, remove the words that's out of tune from your brain and replace them with sharp or flat. Every single note is either sharp or flat. That's all you need. And it's really like, it's a small thing. It's a very simple thing, but it's not an easy thing, right? It's a very simple idea to just say that every note that wasn't in tune was either sharp or flat. It's very complex to identify exactly how sharp or flat every single note is, and it adds a whole other dimension of difficulty. But I think once you get used to it, once you get used to saying, okay, that note was sharp, that note was flat, you very quickly can fix a lot of pressing intonation things that otherwise would have been impossible to fix if you just said it out of tune. You know, it's not helpful. This ornament. Something doesn't go quite right on that ornament. I don't think it fits because I was talking about ornaments with the teacher. He said he adds this one at the end, which goes da 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 da. No. How does it go? Da 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 da. And second time. Da 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 da. That's quite nice. Of course, there's a lot of different styles. You hear recordings of this movement in particular, the entire second repeat. So this is a basic, very basic. If you didn't pick it up in the recording because it's your first time hearing it or whatever, because no one listens to the second movement of these concerti. The structure of this movement is very basic. It has an A section and a B section. The A is in the tonic, the B is in the dominant, right? So the A is in E flat, the B is more or less the exact same thing. There's 2 extra bars, and then it has about 4 extra bars as a little cadence at the end. And so you hear the B section entirely ornamented by people. Instead of dum ba bum bum ba ba bum, no. Dum ba bum ba da 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 dum bum. Instead of that, you hear da 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 da. You hear all sorts of things, really. And the teachers that I'm with right now are not exactly fans of that. I am, as I remain with most things, undecided. I think it's beneficial to take a neutral stance and try to not be so opinionated on all these things. I think people learning, especially in the early stages of their learning, are far too quick to take a liking or disliking, especially for things. They always manage to find things and go, yeah, I don't like that. That's not good. I'm not going to play like that. That's not my style. And I think it's much more beneficial to say, okay, maybe that's not something that I think is the most gorgeous thing right now, but I'm going to try it. I'm going to stick with it. And I'm going to learn how to do it regardless. And then after I learn how to do it, then I'm going to say, okay, you know, I hate it. I hate it, right? It's very common with, you think about historically informed performance and vibrato, right? I think you have much more weight to your opinion when you are someone who plays really, really well with the vibrato and then says, I don't like vibrato. Whereas if you're someone who just says, I don't like vibrato, and you can't even do a vibrato, that doesn't mean anything. If you don't have a choice to do vibrato or not, if your vibrato is terrible, you can't say, oh, I just choose not to do it. If you're choosing, you have to have the choice first, really. So I think that's, I mean, on the topic of the ornamentation, You should learn how to play in one style of playing this music that you were taught, and you should get taught and learn it very well. And then later you can change the style, okay? You don't have to play with that style, but you have to learn that, because this is another idea that I think is really important. This video is going to be so damn long. I think I'm going to split off the end of this. But the last thing I'll leave you with, we'll listen to the end of this movement. The last thing is that learning a piece, especially in the early stages, is as much about learning the instrument as it is the notes of the piece. It's not just about you learning how to play this piece. Okay, now I know that there's a shift there and there's this note there and I want this section to sound like this. It's about going, okay, I want this section to sound like this. Let me take a step back and figure out how the instrument works, how I can create a sound like that, how I can have that in my repertoire so that I can do it for the future, so that you can sight read pieces, so that you can recall pieces faster, so you can be the kind of person who learns pieces way faster, rather than having this limited repertoire that you sort of had to brute force work into getting it to function, and not being able to be adaptable in that. I think that's a really, really bad sign for violinists. It's too sharp. Too sharp again. Too flat. Too sharp. Apart from the fact that I missed that note, I think, and then he'd come to the ending. Nice. I'm going to end it here. I think I'll do a part 2 because this video, even for a long form video, is getting quite long, I think. Happy practicing. I hope you got something out of that. Maybe if you have some great feedback for the performance, leave it in the comments. And I'll see you guys in the next one.